the game, cause see the boxing voice.
Gina, you there?
I'm here, and I have Ray Flores with me.
Ray, how you doing tonight?
Guys, how are you?
We're doing good, man. Happy to have you, man. Happy you took some time out to come here on The Voice.
Definitely a pleasure. I love what you guys do, and definitely excited about being on the program tonight.
All right. Well, I just want to go ahead and start off by basically having you give us a little origin story, man, because I feel like you have a rapid rise. I don't see another announcer as young as you get so many television dates. So I think that you've jumped on the scene and you've definitely have capitalized. So if you could just give us an origin story, how it all started out for you.
Well, guys, I know this is the boxing voice, but I started off my career in MMA. And I started following around a guy who grew up in East Chicago, Indiana, the same hometown as Etwan Moore from the Bulls, and also Kawan Short, who is actually going to be starting this Sunday for the Carolina Panthers against the Broncos on the D-line. And there was a guy by the name of Miguel Torres who was a bantamweight fighter in MMA, and he was kind of coming up through the ranks fighting on local shows. I was working for a local television station at the time, public access, stuff like that, and I started following around him, Miguel Torres, covering all his fights. I started doing commentary for all the cards that he was on locally. We would show the fights a week later. And that was when I was in high school, moving into college. When I went to Columbia College in Chicago, I was always talking boxing, MMA. A professor came up to me, offered me a position to do a radio show where on the college radio station where I would do MMA and boxing talk. Within the first 6 months of that, I interviewed De La Hoya Mayweather because they came to town to promote their mega fight that broke records, and many of them still stand. And then after that, about a year after that, an MMA promoter called me up, asked me if I wanted to ring announce, and then it just kind of grew from there. I got into boxing, went ahead and met Joe Martinez, who is the ring announcer for Golden Boy Promotions, and this is back in 2011 where him and I worked an MMA show together in Chicago. Asked me if I spoke Spanish. I did. He was doing a lot of MMA events overseas. Asked me and brought my name up to those at Golden Boy if I wanted to fill in, if they thought of me for filling in on solo boxeo shows. I filled in for him between 12 and 14 shows in 2012. And then I kind of grew from there. Worked for Artie Palullo, Banner Promotions. He found me, and I did about 3 or 4 years of Friday night fights for him. Fortunate to do the Provodnikov-Matisse fight last year in April at Turning Stone in Verona, New York. And then, when PBC got with their schedule, and I worked with some of their production people, and they offered me, asked me if I wanted to do their ESPN fights on PBC, and it just kind of grew from there. And now I'm doing the FS1 shows, happen to do the Garcia Guerrero fight, and I'm very fortunate to be working and have worked for all the entities that I have during the course of my career, and very thankful to every promoter and every director and producer for giving me the opportunity that I have.
Yo, what's up, Ray? This is James. So now I think that you have a very hard, a hard job in the business, and the simple fact that I come from me. I wear my heart on my sleeve. When I'm excited about something, you can tell. When I'm bummed about something, you can tell. I always see these kind of robberies in boxing where someone like Michael Buffer, yourself, someone like that has to look down at the cards and understand that there's a robbery and the crowd is going to erupt. Has there been an instance in your career where you just kind of looked at the paper and you've been like, really? Even though you saw the fight maybe a different way, you just look down and you go, this is going to go, the crowd's going to get unruly. Has there been an instance in your past that you could think about that you don't have to necessarily say, but how do you keep yourself calm in these situations? How do you, prevent yourself from really rolling your own eyes?
Well, there was and I'm glad you brought that up, because there's one that will forever stand in the history of ESPN boxing lore. This is back in December of last year. This is my first fight for TGB Promotions, and I'm very thankful to Tom Brown and his entire staff for being so gracious to me. This was my first event, and the main event was Oscar Escandon and Tyson Cave. Watching that fight, it looked like Tyson Cave was giving him a boxing lesson. I get the card, and from the California State Athletic Commission, I look down, and I'm like, wait, I had to do in cartoons where you have to, shake your head real fast. like, wait a minute. And then I looked again. And then I looked again. Okay, here's how it is. The first scorecard that I read, because now that PBC is focused on the fighters and not many people in the ring, I was in the ring. So I was pretty much at the apron. When I read the first scorecard, I heard Teddy go nuts and say, "What? Oh my gosh!" And then I read the second card. Then when I read the decision, Teddy was losing his mind, and he had one of the most famous rants in recent memory. So that is a fight without question that I thought that Tyson Cave had won easy, 9-12, and it happened to go in the favor of Oscar Escandón. So that one clearly stands out in recent memory.
Ray, man, that's awesome, man. I wanted to ask, since you've been doing all these big time television fights, what have you found different, I guess, from fight to fight and city to city, like in terms of the crowds or just the ambiance? What is it that you find different between each venue?
Well, one thing I like about each venue is, you know what, at the end of the day, I love all fight fans. I mean, without the fight fans, without entities like the Boxing Voice, we wouldn't have anything to promote or discuss, because it's the fans that are the ones buying or watching the product. It's the media outlets like yourselves that are covering it. And it's, the promoters and everybody involved, they have to put it on. So that's first and foremost. Las Vegas is a great fight town, but I love going to New York. I love LA. I'm a Chicago boy, and Chicago's near and dear to my heart. But, man, fight fans in New York, Barclays Center, Brooklyn, MSG, Staples Center in Los Angeles, those places are rocking, man. I mean, those to me, Texas has really good fight fans, but there's nothing like the coast. New York, Barclays Center, Staples Center over in Los Angeles. I mean, even Madison Square Garden. Haven't been fortunate enough to do a show at the big room at MSG, but did the theater at MSG, and there's nothing like New York and LA, and the fans are so passionate. And what I love about the fans on both coasts is they support good quality fights. If there's a good fight or there's a fight that catches their interest, they're going to show up. It's not this, well, how many people? Is there going to be 5,000 or 6,000 people? Look what happened with Garcia Guerrero, 12,000 people. Wilder and Stuka, 12,000 people. When Golovkin was at MSG, sold-out crowd. The fans in New York and LA, they support good quality fights. They're going to come out, which is why bigger fights deserve to be there, and also Las Vegas because of its economic power.
So now, Ray, you talked about going through college and starting with the radio show first, and now you've been thrust kind of to a very historical type of sport, something that growing up personally, I idolized some of the boxers. We had Deontay Wilder, the heavyweight champion of the world. Where you were back then, was there a time where you kind of just sat down to yourself and you go, like when you brought up Oscar De La Hoya, interviewing Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd Mayweather? Was there a time where you go, shit, like I've made it, like look where I am today? What was that pivotal moment in your career?
Well, you know what, guys? I still think at the end of the day, I'm almost going to be 30 years old, and I grew up watching. I'm Mexican, okay? And I grew up. My first memories of boxing is watching Julio Cesar Chavez fight Meldrick Taylor and Hector Macho Camacho, Greg Halgan. I was such a boxing nerd when I was like 3, 4 years old. I would watch the countdown shows that they used to do on SET pay-per-view. That was the Showtime brand. I would watch the countdown shows that HBO would do back when it was TVKO. So I'm way back. I'm still a fight fan. At the end of the day, I love the sport. I'm going to watch everything. And that's the thing, is that I have such a great opportunity with the entities that I work for to see and talk with some of the most amazing fighters on the planet. They give their all. Lampley said it best, guys. You don't play boxing, you fight for your life. And this is a couple years ago. And anytime, whether the guy is 50-0 or whether a guy is 0-50, I have respect for all of them because they're putting themselves on the line. A couple moments, though, just to go ahead and get back to your original question. When I did Maciej Provodnikov, and Gina, who is, doing a fantastic job. I think she's your producer, if I stand corrected. But we did many shows at Turning Stone Resort Casino with Banner Promotions. And when I stood in the ring, and it was Michael Buffer who did the Terrence Crawford, Tomas Delorme fight in Dallas, and then to be fortunate enough to ring announce Provodnikov Matisse, that fight where everyone knew it was going to be a war. Turning Stone means a lot to me because that was my first Friday Night Fight show 3-4 years ago. I think it was Brian Vera and Sergey Zinzur, if I stand corrected. And to be able to go back there to a place where essentially I grew up on Friday Night Fights at Turning Stone, to do Matisse Provodnikov, to me, Jim Lampley is the best play-by-play man in the business. It doesn't matter what sport, he is the best, and you can print that. And to be able to have a legend, a master like that, throw it up to me, to have one fight, sold-out crowd, Matisse Provodnikov, it was like you and Artie came over to me, and Matt Rowland, happy birthday to Matt Rowland from Banner Promotions. He came up to me, and as they were getting ready to walk out, he goes, listen, we went ahead and we had you. We fought for you to be the ring announcer tonight, and you need to have the best night of your life. And after that show was over, and when I went ahead and I read the decision, we knocked out the intros, and after I announced the decision, guys, I had to walk to a corner of Turning Stone by myself because I was overwhelmed by emotion. The reason why is because I grew up watching Showtime and HBO, and to know that the little kid in me, if I could be 3 years old or 4 years old, and it was like watching myself on television and being able to work with guys like a Jim Lampley. Bernard Hopkins was on that telecast as well. And to be able to, they have this ridiculously high talent level. Their performance level is through the roof. To be able to know on that night, I could raise my game to them and also be a small part of Matisse Provodnikov. I was almost bawling, guys. The second fight, and I'll get it real quickly, Santa Cruz and Morris. Two Mexican warriors that fought through over 1,000 punches. And for me, that fight meant a lot because thanks to TGB Promotions and the PBC, I was with that entire promotion. I flew to LA to do the kickoff press conference 6 weeks before. I did the conference call when they spoke to the media about 2 weeks before. I went out there and did the open workouts when we were on Olvera Street, and it was 100 degrees. I did the pre-fight press conference on that Thursday, did the weigh-in, did the fight, 13,000 people, did the post-fight presser. To be able to get to know Santa Cruz and Morris, two amazing guys that I think are great for the sport of boxing, that meant a lot. Those two fights especially stand out so much and vividly, and it just resonates with me to be like, you know what? I'm a fan of the sport, but I'm involved in this. This is crazy, which is why I work my butt off and am so well prepared to give these guys their just due to those fans and those common sports fans that don't know what boxing is. Well, I'm going to tell you why a Danny Garcia matters, why a Sammy Vasquez doesn't matter, why Aaron Martinez is the modern-day Rocky in East Los Angeles. That's what I try to do on a consistent basis, guys.
Hey, Ray, man, and you're doing a great job at it, and that's the reason we chose to highlight you because you're such a young guy, you know, definitely breaking down barriers and have a great job and doing a great job at it. But if you have any social media at this time, please give it out so anybody listening could definitely follow you, and we want to thank you again for giving us a few minutes of your time just to ask you a couple of questions.
Hey, guys, thank you very much. You can follow me on social media at RayFlores86. Again, that's on Twitter at RayFlores86. Instagram is RayFlores1986. Go on Facebook and type in Ray Flores. I don't know exactly what my handle is on Facebook, but check me out. Also, Tuesday, PBC on FS1. We got Jamel Herring in a fight against Luis Flores. Should be a lot of fun from Sands Casino, Bethlehem. And, guys, the Boxing Voice continue to do a great job. I love seeing you guys out at fights and stuff like that. You guys are periscoping, you're tweeting, you're Instagramming, you're Facebooking. You guys are on YouTube, I think, live sometimes. I love what you guys do. Even if you guys are in a different locale, I'm keeping up to date on what is going on with the Boxing Voice. That's how you guys hold it down.
Man, thank you, Ray. I always appreciate it, and, you know, we can't wait to have you back, man. Thank you, and keep doing what you do.
Hey, guys, thank you very much. And continue to do what you guys do for the fans, because without entities like you guys, the sport of boxing wouldn't survive. So thank you guys, and have a great evening.
All right, Gina, thank you so much.
The sight in the game, 'cause see the boxing voice.